guys, we finally have some sort of communication, still not in the form of a general Nintendo Direct. After everything we've gotten, we still are beating around that main one, but we're getting a Kirby Air Riders Direct, hosted by Masahiro Sakurai himself, almost in the form of a Sakurai Presents, which we were getting with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So it's really cool to see something like this, and believe it or not, this is happening tomorrow at 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern, and it's 45 minutes long. 45 minutes. Yeah, that's a pretty big show. I mean, that's the length of a general Nintendo Direct, a little bit longer than most of general Nintendo Directs for one specific game, a Kirby spin-off racing game, that is. So this is actually even longer than the Smash Ultimate Direct back in November 1st of 2018, which that one was 40 minutes. So this one is 5 minutes longer. What in the world is happening here? Now, we can actually try to figure out what this Direct is going to be like, and I'll also throw in what I think should be added and what we need to see in this Direct as well. But simply by looking at the Smash Ultimate Direct back so long ago, we can actually look at the timestamps and see where Sakurai spent a lot of his time. And the whole beginning of the Direct was introducing a couple of new characters. It was introducing Ken as an Echo Fighter, and obviously Incineroar as the new Pokemon rep. And yeah, those first two characters took up almost about 7 minutes of the entire show, which is pretty crazy. But something that you need to keep in mind is Sakurai does love to go in grand detail about things, especially with a game as old as Kirby Air Ride, which didn't come out last until the GameCube. So he's probably going to go into super depth detail about how the game works, the mechanics, you know, every little nook and cranny of the controls. Like, that's just how Sakurai is. So I'd say a good 10 to 15 minutes of this entire show is going to be dedicated to just how you play the game. So what do we expect from the show? I don't have things written down, but I guess I'm just going to kind of go over things that I'm thinking of and just talk about them pretty much. So Kirby Air Ride is a game that came out on the GameCube. So I think that's what makes this so exciting, is the fact that there's been so much improvement and so much more lore and characters and just things added to the Kirby franchise since then. I mean, it was technically the first 3D Kirby game in a way on the GameCube. So, like, think of all the things that we've had since then. We've had Kirby's Epic Yarn, Kirby Return to Dreamland, Kirby Triple Deluxe, Planet Robobot, Star Allies, The Forgotten Land. There might have even been a couple of DS games that I didn't mention here. But yeah, there's just been a lot of Kirby, and even tons of spin-off games with that, which introduced tons of lore, characters, story, stages, and just a lot of new copy abilities. So Sakurai has an absolute magic bag to pull from here. So let's start off with the overall stages and design of this game. So I feel like there needs to be a lot more stages for one. The original Kirby Air Ride was pretty bare bones in content when you look back at it. There were only 9 tracks, and about half of them were pretty short, so I'm expecting a lot more tracks this time around. I mean, honestly, in Kirby Air Ride standards, just thinking about what they could do, I kind of hope they go for almost around 50 tracks for us to race on. I know that might seem like a lot, but, I mean, I want Sakurai to go all out here. Now, Sakurai is an ambitious guy. I mean, look at Smash Ultimate. So if all these tracks don't come at least day one, maybe there's some free updates or, you know, DLC later on down the road that adds even more. But yeah, I'm expecting there to be a lot. And I also want a mixture of, you know, original tracks made from the ground up for this game that doesn't reference any other Kirby games. And I want tracks that actually pull from past Kirby games as well, because Kirby Air Ride was all original tracks for that game that really didn't reference any past games. I get it, because there wasn't that much source material to pull from, but now there is a ton. So I would love to see stages that maybe take us through another dimension from Return to Dreamland, or maybe just Dream World itself, where we can race around Wispy Woods or around King Dedede's castle. Or maybe the fiery volcano level is now Hal Chandra from Kirby's Return to Dreamland, or maybe even Egg Engines. You also have Triple Deluxe, which takes you to a whole nother world on a beanstalk into the sky, which is funny because there was a beanstalk stage already in Kirby Air Ride, so something like that again would be pretty cool as you continue to go higher and higher up into the sky. You also have Planet Robobot, where it could be a whole factory style of stage and just have different references from that game and just pulling from the games. You know, Forgotten Land theme one where you're racing through a broken down city of the Forgotten Land, or Star Allies one where maybe you're racing through space and through the different planets, or maybe even across the Jambaston area. So yeah, the sky's the limit for what tracks that Sakurai can create, and I really hope that he works with HAL Labs real closely, especially with the modern Kirby games, and pulls from from some of them, or maybe even pulling more from the classic ones as well, because you could still pull from like Kirby Superstar, have a Battleship Halberd stage where we're racing on the Halberd, or maybe one based on the Great Cave Offensive where there's tons of tight turns and tight corners down underneath the ground. But overall, I think the stages are going to look really cool. I just hope that there's a good amount that we can consistently go back to and replay over and over again. Another huge one for me is characters. I really hope we get tons of characters pulled from throughout the series, because originally you could only play as one, I think, of 4 different colors of Kirby. I want definitely different options. Like, honestly, all Sakurai has to do is just look at Star Allies' lineup and just look at all those characters, because they've already pulled from all the past games for that game. So just bring their models over and you can, give them some new animations and stuff, and boom, you pretty much have tons of new characters in a full roster to choose from. I mean, they could even make a Smash Bros. Games out of the Kirby roster now. Plus, there was a bunch of new ones in the Forgotten Land as well, like Elfilin, so I can't wait to see all the characters that Sakurai pulls from. I'd be so upset if Sakurai just didn't add a vast majority of those characters from past Kirby games. It just makes way too much sense to actually not include tons of different characters this time around. The same thing goes for the vehicles, especially if there's another city trial mode, which there needs to be, which I'll get into in a second. You can actually hop off your vehicle and run around in a 3D world. So could you imagine if you could do that with all the characters as well in a 3D world? Would be so awesome. Which also brings me into vehicles. I don't have much to say off this one. They can maybe base more vehicles off of those characters as well, like maybe Susie could have like a Robobot type of suit vehicle or something like that, but I would really hope they keep their same like wacky stats, because I think that's something that makes them very interesting to choose different vehicles. It's not like one's slightly faster or one's got a little bit better turn. No, they're wacky. You'll find a vehicle that has super bad turning, but it's very, very fast, or maybe a vehicle that you can only turn if you charge up a boost angle and then point in the right direction where it only moves in straight lines. There's vehicles that are super heavyweights that don't even charge up at all, but they offer lots of cool variety, and I just want to see a bunch more of them that do like tons of wacky things, but maybe themed after those characters as well. So maybe Kirby can ride a Spiderweb Taranza themed vehicle, or maybe Meta Knight can jump into a Fecto Elphalus themed vehicle with wings or something. You get what I'm saying? I do hope Top Ride makes a return as well. It might seem like a simple game mode where it's just this top-down view of this little arcade racer, but it's actually a lot of fun, and some of the stages are pretty unique with little jump panels, tight turns, and enemies and objects on your way as well. So I really hope that there's a bunch more of these and this mode does return in full force, and yeah, we just have a bunch of little racing modes that we can also play with others online, because I really love that mode. I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place here, I'm just getting ideas as I'm talking about it, but I want some tweaks to the gameplay, because the original game was very, very, very simple. It was just the left control stick and the A button. That's literally how you did everything in the game. So I kind of hope that they add some extra functions to different buttons. For instance, when it comes to inhaling an enemy or using your copy ability, I hope there's a special dedicated button this time around, so that way it's not always the charge drift button. I want those buttons to be separate, and I don't know if that's just me. Maybe some people love simplicity, and I do too, but at the same time, I do want it to have some additional meta to it besides just 2 buttons. You know what I mean? It's so many years later, we got a new console with new controls, well into the future. It shouldn't just be 2 buttons to control Kirby with the control stick and the A button. So I'm hoping that they, tie some of those other things like usage of your copy abilities to other buttons. But on the topic of copy abilities, there's so many more copy abilities since this game came out. I don't even want to get into what they could possibly be, but let's just see some of them. I mean, some of them I can just think of right now is like the gun from Forgotten Land. Could you imagine shooting down other players as you're driving by? Or even like the staff copy ability from Star Allies, where you can drive by and just swing it and knock somebody off of their craft or something. Would be so cool and so funny. But yeah, just tons of chaotic copy abilities, because they would work so perfectly well in City Trial 2, baby. Yes, I want a new City Trial, and I want Sakurai to be kind of ambitious with this one, because once again, Kirby Air Ride I felt lacked a lot of content or replayability, because it was just only like 9 tracks, like a handful of other top-down tracks, and then 1 City Trial map. So I would like to see maybe a bunch of different City Trial maps that maybe rotate in and out, kind of like Splatoon maps. Maybe around 2 or 3 of them that are pretty big in size would be really cool, because I'm expecting in this game for there to be more than 4 total racers on one of these maps, especially if we're playing playing online, I would kind of love to see maybe even up to 8 like Smash Ultimate has. So having like 8-player, city trial and there's just tons of chaos on these giant maps would be so cool. But why stop there? Because City Trial already is kind of like a battle royale. The only difference is it adds like a little mini game mode at the end, very similar to Smash Run if you've ever played that on the 3DS. So yeah, I kind of hope that they still have that mode as an option, but I would love to see just a pure battle royale mode where you get special abilities and stuff and you have to take down the other players, and maybe there's like a closing circle or something to really utilize those maps, because it's one of my biggest complaints personally with Mario Kart World. I'm like, they have a battle mode with an open world, why not use it to have a battle royale mode? I think it would work really, really well, and I think the same thing here for Kirby. I mean, Kirby's already kind of experimented with battle royale with Kirby's Battle Royale on the 3DS. You can still have your random events and stuff in City Trial, but yeah, I would just love a gigantic map because of how fast you can move with some of those special effects. Like, you pick up a battery, you're moving around the map so incredibly fast. I'm not fast forwarding anything that you're watching right now. This is literally just an event where every player gets the battery effect. So something like that should be utilized on a way bigger map, and maybe even multiple of them that switches out as well. Could you imagine a map that has little references from tons of other past Kirby games on it, like a little Jam Bastion, or maybe a little Egg Engines, a little Halcondra? Stuff like that would be so cool. So I'm hoping they do something like that, like a little Forgotten Land City this time around, instead of the original one they came up with in the original Kirby Air Ride. So there's so many things that they could do and pull from. These maps could look really, really cool. So yeah, I'm hoping for lots of ways to use these maps as well, instead of just the basic collect all the power-ups, wait until the end, play the mini game. So yeah, I'm hoping there's like a battle royale or other things that we can play and do with these maps as well. Like maybe even tons of little hidden secrets and Easter eggs and stuff we can find and even explore on by ourselves in single players. So yes, personally, I feel like City Trial has to come back, and in a big way. And I expect all these modes that we've talked about to pretty much have online play. It would be startling to me if there was no online play, so clearly we'll be able to. Like, I'm not even doubting that at all, but it's just something that I wanted to bring up, because once again, we're talking about a game that hasn't come out since the GameCube. I know this was one of my biggest wishes for Mario Kart World, but it's still kind of the same thing for Kirby Air Riders, where I want to see boss battles as well. There's one minigame event where you actually had to take out King DDD. So wouldn't it be cool if there was some type of mode where you could just battle a bunch of bosses, but, in Air Rides fashion, where the bosses are riding something, or there's just a big boss that's stationary and you have to defeat it on your aircraft or something. Something like that would be really cool, using copy abilities or just slamming into it. I don't know how they're going to actually do that, but yeah, I would love to see that. Maybe the return of Dynablade again as a special event. But whether these are special event bosses or tied to a special mode, either way, I would love to see them return. Like, imagine one of the events is like a giant void Termina that crashes onto the map and you have to take it out as a team, or a giant Fecto Elphalus spawns into the sky and you have to take them out. Stuff like that would just make me so happy. And this soundtrack could be like the Mario Kart World Smash Ultimate version for Kirby, where there's just tons of classic remixes brought back and remade in new remixes. So that would be really, really awesome, just to have tons of great Kirby music brought back. And I'm hoping Sakurai has a great team, just like with the Smash Brothers games, to have some really fun, really good remixes for this game as well. That's something I'm definitely looking forward to. Sakurai also definitely needs to bring back these mission walls, because they might be tedious for a lot of people, but it gives a lot of people reason to come back and reason to play the game, and even play the game in solo in order to check off everything on that board, to unlock every possible thing that they can. It's pretty much just a huge checklist to go through, and pretty much gives you a reason to replay the game over and over and over again to fully 100% it. And it's something that I have always been a fan of through Sakurai's games, unless we're talking about Kid Icarus Uprising, because that was torture. So yes, I'm very excited for this game, but seriously, as much as I had to look forward to, I'm looking forward to just the game, period. There's not a whole bunch that I need to happen. I'm just really excited that this game still exists, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing what in the world Sakurai's crazy mind is going to come up with in this game. I think my only thing I want to make sure is that Sakurai does recognize and includes a bunch of modern Kirby stuff as well. It's not just all stuff from the ground up. Like, there needs to be a lot of references. It should feel like almost a Smash Brothers for the Kirby series as well, but in a racing form. So yes, I want to see a lot of those characters, stages, worlds, and even stories brought over as like a big celebration game. But let me know in the comments down below what you're looking forward to the most out of this Sakurai Presents. Are you looking forward to, more characters, more stages, a certain mode? Maybe Sakurai even has some surprise game modes that we just haven't even heard about yet. But thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe before before you head out. And like always, I hope you all have a blessed day, and I'll see you all on the next one. See you guys.